Bonjour mes amis, je suis le Roger Canadien, and welcome back to the Honky Talk Show, where I talk about news and hockey for the week and try to get my best opinion on it. But you can tell by the background this week, the flag of Ukraine. Because not only is this week gonna be centered a lot about what's going on with the war in Ukraine, but also to show my solidarity for those involved, like for the Ukrainians fighting for their lives, having to flee their country, and for the men fighting, to President Volodymyr Zelensky, to everyone else. I stand with Ukraine, stop Russian aggression, and lastly, fuck Putin. But we're gonna try to get all the Russian shit out of the way. You know, it does take up a big bulk of it. It takes up a actually a good amount of it. We'll start with the World Juniors. Actually, no, with the Canadian Hockey League. Right? Sorry, we'll start there. Where today it was announced that the Canadian Hockey League have banned 16 and 17-year-old hockey players from both Russia and Belarus to be basically banned from the upcoming draft. Because if you don't know, the CHL has their own little draft thing where they have to what's it called? They have to draft those players to their league so that they can play for them and eventually possibly make their way to the NHL. That's just how it works. But basically, in the tweet by Dan Milstein before 3 o'clock, it was said, and I quote, at 3 p.m. EST, the Canadian Junior Hockey League will announce that Russian and Belarusian 16 and 17-year-old children would be banned from the upcoming draft. As Milstein further says, I am Ukrainian born and want peace. I do not believe banning teenagers for something they do not control is the answer. Now, there's two ways to look at this. One being he's right in the fact that what a teenager is gonna do, like, because they don't have any say in it. They can't control what goes on in the world. But at the same time, it's like you kind of understand why it's being done because unilateral, like kind of like a guilty by association type factor. But whatever sense you could take it how you want, that's just the way it was kind of put out there. Same with Dan Milstein. It was reported by Emily Kaplan that Milstein came out and saying that Russian NHL players are experiencing significant harassment, and draft eligible players for this coming draft are already being discriminated against because they're Russian. And a quote from Milstein says that I quote, people need to be aware that this is going on. This is racism and it needs to stop. And I agree with that. I mean, I understand what Putin is doing is fucking actually blatantly dumb. But at the same time, you don't go after the players. I understand unilateral, what one does, everyone follows suit, kind of yada yada bullshit. But you don't go after the players because of their nationality. It doesn't fucking make sense. Hell, there's a lot of Russians that don't fucking want this war. There's a lot of Russians that fucking hate this war. A lot of Russians were arrested for being anti-war. I fucking give with that. Like, fucking people. Now we go to the International Ice Hockey Federation and talk about the World Junior Championships. So it was announced on Monday that all basically that you no, I'm sorry guys, I'm just kind of fucking brain fried from watching all the coverage of the whole thing, but Russian and Belarusian hockey teams will not be allowed to participate in the upcoming World Junior Championships in Canada this August until further notice. Well, actually, in any other World Junior Championship or in any other IHF contest until further notice, as well as the 2023 World Junior Championships, which were set to take place in Russia, have been pulled out of the country and a new location will be determined at a later date. Again, it is what it is, but I don't know. This whole conflict is just fucked. To the NHL themselves put out a statement saying, and I quote, "The league is suspending all relationships with business partners in Russia and pausing all Russian language social/digital media sites and discontinuing consideration of Russia as a location for any future competitions involving the NHL." So the war just killed that part off. That's another bridge burned. And like, I don't even know. It's just hard to fucking having a whole conflict. It really is. But before we like get on to the remainder of the news, I do want to just say one more thing about the whole conflict, and I'll preface this again on QB huddle session tomorrow and whatnot. I'm not for this war. I want the people in the government of Ukraine to live in peace and harmony. I want the Russians to back the fuck out while they still can. I stand with everyone in Ukraine. I stand with everyone that is Ukrainian. And I am all for the peace and prosperity of a sovereign state in Ukraine. Actually, no, there is one more piece of hockey news I just remember. So up in Eastern Europe / parts of Asia, there's a hockey league called the Continental Hockey League. Recently, the Finnish team, Jokerit, or known as the Helsinki Jokers in the English translation, they have pulled out of the Continental Hockey League's Gagarin Cup playoffs that was set to start on Tuesday, which it didn't. They were set to face the Spartak Moscow, and since then, basically Spartak Moscow's just been allowed to go on to the second round with a 4-0 series sweep, which I think is kind of dumb, but take it with what you will. As well as they're exploring possibilities of withdrawing from the league entirely. Something similar to that, like kind of saying on the topic, the Latvian team in the KHL, Dinamo Riga, they have withdrawn from the league entirely. They are no longer associating themselves with the KHL and will look to find a different league to join that or just fold entirely. I don't know what the status of that team is going to be after this. But again, I'm with Ukraine. I'm with the Ukrainian government. I'm with the Ukrainian people. I'm with the Ukrainian army. You have my support. You have my prayers. You have everything you could fathom. But let's pull away now from the whole situation. Vodafone will remain in the background. Kind of a small trade to talk about here. Michael McNiven, goaltender for the Habs, was traded to Calgary in exchange for future considerations. I don't know much about him, but I know I think he was like 4-0 or something, 4-1 with a .896 save percentage down in Laval. I don't know how to really explain the strike because it's just, I don't know. Another news, Caps forward Carl Hagelin is out indefinitely after suffering a serious eye injury. We don't know if he may play again. And this is an injury that he suffered at practice. But again, like that, you can go from there with what you will on that. The Blackhawks have named their new general manager, and their new GM is the interim GM, Kyle Davidson. The interim GM, who was named earlier this season after the whole bullshit was cleaned out. The interim GM looks like he will be the permanent GM moving forward for the Chicago Blackhawks. And he is assuming and said to be overseeing a full rebuild in Chicago, as he did state himself. Now, to double what you will, it can be a good thing to rebuild because now you need to dump that Seth Jones contract. Oh God, that is a doozy. No, and I really mean that is fucking something. In other news, the Stadium Series has happened between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Nashville Predators, with the Bolts coming out on top 3-2, with goals from the Lightning being from Brayden Point, Nikita Kucherov, and Steven Stamkos, and for the Predators being Tanner Jeannot and Philip Forsberg. In other news, there was a small return. Sean Avery. Yeah, he signed a professional contract with the ECHL side Orlando Solar Bears, but was released 2 days later. Yep, 2 whole days later. Let's see. I'm trying to find something. Johnny Brzezinski for the Rangers now. He is a forward. I guess he's had some NHL experience. I haven't seen much of him. He signed a new contract extension, 2 years, with a average annual salary of $762,500. And this is how the contract breaks down because it is a two-way. $315,000 in the AHL in year 1, $325,000 in the AHL in year 2. The NHL salary is supposed to be $762,500, and $362,500 is guaranteed. Kind of a low risk contract, but that's actually not a bad contract for him. I actually kind of like it. And then finally, and this is what I kind of fucking tremble at. The Wings Leafs game that happened the other night, where it went from a 7-2 Toronto lead to a 7-6 lead, and then the game just ended 10-7 with Toronto winning. Now look at, and it was said by MoneyPuck.com on Twitter, with 17 goals on 4.8 expected goals, the Leafs Wings game is by far the worst combined goaltending game since the NHL's event tracking started in 2007. The previous worst game was the Jets' 9-8 win over the Flyers in 2011, with 8.7 goals above expected. Yeah. And I saw this game, I was just like, what the fuck? Because I didn't know what to think. I really didn't know what the fuck to think. I don't even know what you make of that. But that will do it for this week's episode of the Hockey Talk Show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave a like. Comment down below if you guys want to see anything next. And if you have not done so already, subscribe and join the Illogical Nation. But until next time, guys, je suis le lâché canadien. Bonne nuit et au revoir.